We'd lost all of our capacity to conduct political warfare effectively 30 years ago. And here's why. We won the Cold War. And because we won the Cold War, Chris, we were at the end of history. We were never going to fight a competitor again. We never had to worry about an ideological competitor or a military competitor. We were at the end of history. We were blatantly naive. It was stunning, the horrendous decisions we made at that time. We shut down the U.S. Information Agency, which it had become. There was reasons that it was shut down, but basically we shut down one of our major tools in fighting political warfare and teaching American policymakers and bureaucrats about political warfare and the American people. After the end of the Cold War, it got rotten because it lost its sense of purpose, so Congress shut it down. Nothing took its place. We stopped teaching it in our university, our feeder Georgetown University. I like to use as an example because I never met any Georgetown MA that actually understood what political warfare was. They don't get taught that. It's just not on the agenda. Academics in academia, you don't make any points. You don't get invited to conferences. You don't get a visa to the PRC if you focus on the PRC's political warfare. So why go down that route? Why even teach it? So they don't. Our military academies don't teach it. Our war colleges, or the higher level, the colonels, the generals, don't teach it, or hadn't until the past several years. We forgot it starting around 1991. We lost the curriculum. We lost the ability of our leaders to even recognize it. For a long time, the Army, for example, was focused on Russia. Then we had 20 years of the global war on terror. So we've had officers in the U.S. military who are now admirals and generals who have only known Afghanistan, the sandbox. They've known Iraq. They've known that war, counterterrorism, not conventional warfare. And they didn't get much education in the threat of the PRC. Their institutions became pro-PRC, a significant political warfare victory for the liaison department in the PLA and for the United Front was just the co-opting of the Naval Academy, the co-opting of the U.S. Army Academy. Why do I say that? Because they will invite Communist Party members to address all the cadets. Jack Ma, for example. They'll invite the pro-CCP Kevin Rudds to run conferences to influence the senior officers. But for a long time, up until the past couple of years, try to get a Mike Pillsbury in there. Try to get
a Chris Chappell. Can we get a Chris Chappell to the Naval Academy?
Exactly.
Thank you.
Or Matt or Shelley. Any one of you three could have reversed, a 20-year career of ignorance in about an hour. But no, you weren't on the invite list. You probably don't get Christmas cards from the Commandant of the U.S. Military Academy either. I don't either. But the point is, we didn't just ignore teaching of political warfare, what the enemy does and how we fight it, how we fight back. We allowed ourselves to be infiltrated by an accommodationist view. And that, again, is why that's one of the key objectives of PRC political warfare, the United Front. It's a tool. Liaison is the military version of United Front. You go out and you win over people. You get them to believe that China's not a threat. We're your friend. You need us to help deal with North Korea. You need us to help deal with Iran. You need us for the climate change. And so we have policymakers who fall for this. We have United Front admirals and pacifist generals who make horrendously naive and nationally self-destructive policies as a result of the fact that they got hoodwinked by the PRC. We had one vice chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff who came back, went over, got hooked up with some good business deals in Beijing, and became part of the Sanya Initiative and came back and illegally lobbied Congress to cut off arms sales to Taiwan on behalf of the CCP. That's just one example laid out in the book, and I name names in the book, incidentally, in both State Department and Department of Defense. I mean, you had the acting Assistant Secretary of State for the East Asia and Pacific blocking the FBI and other agencies from arresting armed Chinese intelligence service agents and MSS agents on American soil conducting illegal operations. Don't arrest them. Susan Thornton. Again, you had a lot of people who were co-opted, and that's the goal. That's one of the major goals. It's not just intimidation, but it's co-opting them, it's coercing them, it's bribing them, it's indoctrinating them, intimidating them, it's psychologically manipulating our leaders and the assistants to our leaders. This is all laid out in the book, how they do this.